Hi, Code Geass anime fan here to rank the Ernest films from least favorite to favorite. Ernest starred in 9 films. That's an impressive accomplishment for a character that wasn't intended to be a movie star, so I'll be ranking all the feature-length Ernest films. Something to note is that I think all of the Ernest films are enjoyable. Jim Varney was a comedic genius. It was always a delight to watch. He and his Ernest character are important parts of the history of comedy. But number 9 in last place is Ernest Goes to Africa. As always, Jim Varney's Ernest is very funny. The film is really has a really clever ending that really made me laugh hard. However, the adventures and the characters aren't really as entertaining around. The Ernest films are mostly family-friendly fun that can be enjoyed by kids. However, this film might require a talk with the kids about historical context of what was considered okay back then. The plot is interesting. Ernest's love interest isn't the most likable, but again, I do like all the Ernest films to a certain extent, but that one is my least favorite. Number 8, Ernest Goes to School. Um, this film has a lot of great jokes. What holds this film back is that there are portions of the movie without Ernest being his true self, because there's a plot line about him trying to become smarter with this experiment that makes him smarter, but it makes him like act ruder, more pretentious. The scenes with the smarter, ruder Ernest aren't as sweet and enjoyable as the scenes with regular Ernest. That holds it back a bit. I definitely do enjoy the movie though. It's still really funny. Number 7, Ernest in the Army. This film has a fair number of funny scenes. The slapstick scene involving Candy had me cracking up with laughter. There's also a good amount of heart with Ernest's friendships with a fellow member of the Army and a boy that has no family. By the time that this film was being made, Jim Varney was dealing with pain that came from his smoke addiction. It is sad to hear Jim Varney's voice get weaker and to see, Jim Varney not being able to be as physically active as he was in previous films. However, he still worked hard and gave a strong performance to finish off his time playing his most iconic role. 6, Slam Dunk Ernest. This one is pretty interesting. It has a wild plot with the Archangel of Basketball, played by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, giving Ernest like these magical shoes that turn him into a great player. Again, it's really weird, but that makes it enjoyable. Ernest is very sympathetic in this film. Despite being awful at playing basketball, he desperately wants to do a good job and befriend his teammates, and the film has a positive message about being yourself. 5, Ernest Goes to Jail. This film is Ernest switching places with a one criminal that happens to look like him, and that criminal is also played by Jim Varney, so this film gives Jim Varney a chance to show off his range, because I love him as Ernest, but I think he's more than just Ernest, and he's was a very talented actor. And stories about becoming wrongfully in prison have become a common overdone trope. However, Ernest manages to make this familiar story feel at least a little bit fresh with his enjoyable brand of wacky humor. The fact that it takes Ernest such a long time to even realize he's in prison is really funny. Also, Ernest is a positive, optimistic character that, he manages to redeem a character in the movie, and that's really cool. And this film is also notable for Ernest getting powers that make him the comedy equivalent of Magneto from X-Men. You have to see the movie to fully understand what I mean. But 4, Ernest Rides Again. This one kind of a buddy comedy between Ernest and this professor. This film does a good job of showing the positive impact that Ernest leaves on people, because this professor is kind of in a rough place, and Ernest at first kind of seems like he's messing things up, but he actually does help things out for this professor, and it's a sweet tale of friendship and following your passions. It also has a lot of strong comedy, particularly when Ernest gets stuck in a canon. Number 3, Ernest Saves Christmas. The Grinch is known for trying to steal Christmas, but Ernest is far too lovable a guy to do such a thing. In fact, in this film, he's trying to do the opposite. After meeting Santa Claus, Ernest gets to help save Santa Claus, and Douglas Seal, who played Santa Claus, gave a very genuine, sentimental performance that makes this film feel like an emotional Christmas tale, in addition to being an Ernest comedy. And it's also notable for getting Ernest's legendary bestie Vern involved in the plot at one point. Number 2, Ernest Scared Stupid. The Halloween one. This film has Ernest, a group of kids trying to save the city from a evil troll. It's a very fun, very odd Halloween adventure, and it's notable for having Eartha Kitt as a major character in the film, having the always great Jim Varney share scenes with former Catwoman actress Eartha Kitt is a real treat. This film is one of the more creative Ernest films. The way that Ernest ends up saving the day is as odd and wacky as it is touching and sweet. I mean, we have Ernest and Catwoman herself in the same movie. Jim Varney and Eartha Kitt, two legends, and this movie is pretty close to being my number one favorite, but number one is the original film, Ernest Goes to Camp. This film arguably does the best job of showing off Ernest's lovable, inspirational way of acting. Because in the movie, Ernest is becoming a counselor to this group of misbehaving kids, and the kids are really not easy on him, and they're really hard on him. But he really does genuinely want to help these kids, and even after they pull these pranks and they really don't treat him well, he still wants to bring out the best in kids. He's like, not like, oh, they're misbehaving, just give up on them, punish them. Or it's like, no, I want to help these kids, and even after things go bad, he still wants to make things right. It's very sweet. And John Vernon, who later on went to voice Rupert Thorne in Batman the Animated Series and Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, does a very good job as the film's villain. And I think this film has the most memorable scene out of any of the Ernest films. The film has a song that's sung by Jim Varney's Ernest. I expect a song that was sung by Ernest to be silly, but his song in the movie actually pulls on the heartstrings. It's like, if you were to see this, just listen to the song out of context of the movie, or even in context, it's surprising how emotional it is. It's not a silly song, it's a genuinely emotional song it's powerful. It pulls on the heartstrings and gives the film a lot of credibility and heart. So that's my ranking of the Ernest films, and feel free to share your ranking of the Ernest films in the comments. And if you hadn't seen the Ernest movies, I do recommend them.